Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Frankie Corcoran, and we are here for this week's episode of Thursday Think Tank with Christian and friends. I am joined by, of course, Christian Potenza. Christian, what's going on?
What is going on? This is the first episode of Think Think. This
Yet,
is the very first one.
oh yes, because
This is the
we did
very
one
first
last
one.
week, but it was kind of like a beginning, like just like the intro,
Eh,
the pilot.
the pilot. Yeah, no, that was the preview of what we're gonna do, because basically we came up with this concept like on air. we
Literally,
we
we did
actually
actually.
we came up with it on air, and then we talked about it later, and I was like, yeah, because I started thinking about the times when we would, as young comedians, playwrights, musicians, uh, uh, film actors, we would be able to go and showcase our stuff at a local comedy club or a venue, where we would pitch our ideas, and we would have workshops, or in our community, and especially in theater, back in the 90s. Oh my God, I said back in the 90s. I'm actually at that point when I say back in the 90s. But we used to do that stuff all the time. And where is that gone? Where's that sense of community? um since we're all at home now doing this, you know what I mean, and stuff. So I just thought, when we started talking, because when we met, I was like, wow, I really like, tell me more about your scene, like what do you got going on besides this podcast? And it was just like, man, wouldn't it be great? Because here we are talking. I was like, you said it too. I was like, I got this buddy and we're working on this thing. And you're like, I got this friend. And I was like, why don't
I
we
have a
help
guy
each
who
other
knows a
out?
guy.
I'm a guy who knows a guy. I love going, I know a guy. I
That's
know a
the
guy.
thing. I say I know a guy, and he was on all these famous cartoons and everything. And
How's that working out for you? I say the same thing.
his name's
I haven't
Seth
seen.
MacFarlane. No, I'm kidding.
I love Seth MacFarlane. I think he's just such an inspiration.
He really is. Seth MacFarlane.
He
Oh my
really
God.
is.
Did you watch Ted? His new show, Ted.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's
But the
fantastic.
thing is, I always fashion myself around uh people, captains of industry, or people of influence for me, that I'm like, I want my career to be like that person. And I remember when Seth MacFarlane was putting out some movies, like what was it, A Thousand Ways to Die in the
A
West
Million
or
Ways to Die
something.
in the West.
Yeah, okay. So when he did that, I was like, okay, all right. So is he going the Adam Sandler route? Is he just gonna, like, this is the way? And then Ted came out, and I was like, okay, all right, because he had Family Guy, he had American Dad, and American Dad was like, for me, it was like a sleeper. I was like, no, I was just hawk. But when I watched it, I was like, this is Shakespeare of animation. This is just unbelievable. This is reinventing the wheel, sort of thing. And I was like, I want to be like him. And then when he started producing that science show, and then he had that space comedy show that was Space Comedy Workplace, I was like, he's awesome. And he can do so many voices. And I was like, I want to be like him, and I want to start doing my own thing. And I was just so fortunate enough to be in that position where I can pitch my ideas to animation companies, and production companies, or even my own, to Netflix, or I once had a show in development with Bell Global Media for a couple of years. And Bell Global Media is CTV, the comedy network.
Right.
And I've produced many films. I was like, now that I'm older, I want to, now that I, not so much acting, although I just got hit with these killer auditions this week. I want to do more producing. But like with my Freedom Forgers program here, I've got this group of neurodivergent and disabled people that we're making content with. And I was like, this is cool. This is actually really cool, man. Working with neurodivergent people, it's like, man, you can't. I showed some of the cartoons we did to some of the people that make cartoons, like some of the big cartoons that you watch, and they're watching this going, my God. And I was like, see, even if we did all the mushrooms, smoked all the weed, drank all the booze, we would never come up with something half as original authentic and wax out as this. And I was like, this is my kind of peeps. But the industry has changed a lot.
Oh,
And so
absolutely.
have people, with COVID. Like how has COVID or the pandemic or what we went through in lockdown, how has that shaped you? Before we talk about how it shaped the industry, how has it shaped you into what you're doing? Like, before, I call it the before time. We were all doing something. We all had the dream. We're all walking a path. Now we're just walking each other home going, I don't know. I don't know. But for some of us, we made plans. We took that time to go within and create our legacy, create stuff. How can you tell everyone your story on how it changed you?
Well, I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it weren't for the pandemic. So it's one of those things where I take the good out of the bad but pre-COVID, I was just, working a day job, doing lots of community theater on the side, but in acting. I wasn't directing or writing anything then. And then once the pandemic hit and I started writing plays and making some good connections, taking some courses, and I met some people who have been in this industry for a long, long time. And eventually that led to me laying the foundation for what is Corcoran Entertainment. And then next thing you know, we
And
have our
what is just for everybody, because I still want to know. There's the onion that is Frankie Corcoran. What is Corcoran Entertainment? Can you just give us a brief broad stroke on what Corcoran Entertainment is?
Yes, well, Corcoran Entertainment. Also, if you guys are new to the Corcoran Entertainment Show, if this is your very first episode, welcome. But yeah, Corcoran.
I know a guy. I know a
You
guy.
you know you know, guy. Basically, it started off originally as just a community theater company, just to plays that I wrote or plays that are already written, and we're just adapting them. That's how it started originally. And then we of course had our first production all ready to go back in it was set for October 2021 when September 2021 hit, and things were good with the pandemic. And then it was near the end of the month, it just took a nosedive, and it was all of a sudden plays postponed. We can't do it until sometime
Mm,
next year.
right,
And
right.
so it was like we did all this work between we started rehearsals like near the end of August, and then between September, I'm like, okay, but that was so much fun. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I want to keep on doing stuff. I want to keep Corcoran Entertainment going in some way, but how can I do it if we can't be around people? So then that's when I started um whenever me and my friends we'd always talk, boys, let's start a podcast. We should start a podcast. I think it'd be so fun. And it's one of those conversations you have at like 3 a.m. when you guys are pissed drunk, and
Yes,
you just
yes,
just
yes.
let's start a podcast. And then we lay it the format all out, and then we wake up the next morning, we're like, yeah,
What a
yeah.
stupid idea. What a stupid idea. Whose was that? Not mine. Not mine. That
That's
was
literally,
Buddy.
and it was like that for years. We were saying that for years, and then it was around the time when the play got postponed. I said, "Fuck it, let's do a podcast." And then I started. That's when Corcoran Entertainment turned from not just a community theater company; it turned into entertainment as a whole. We have podcasts. I'm even doing some workshops for some camps and stuff like that, summer camps. Um, and me and Christian are now starting to work on something. We have something in the works,
Mm-hmm,
which
mm-hmm,
we
mm-hmm.
will.
We'll divulge later. You know what? I find when you're talking about projects, and I learned this the hard way, as soon as you start talking about it, you're releasing the energy and it's out there. And then, there's a little thing called job security as well. But once you let it out, instead of keeping it within, once you let it out, you just decrease the chances of it actually happening. Do you know what I mean? When you tell it before, it's like we always say, don't do the show, don't talk about it until you're ready to pull the trigger, or unless things are in place, because it's not bragging if you're actually doing it. If
Yeah,
you're just talking
exactly.
about it, and that's what happens so many times because something doesn't pan out, with all these moving parts to make a production or anything happen, the variables, and it doesn't pan out. And then you're like, well, what happened to that? Oh, well, that other guy, da, da, da. And what happened to that? Well, we were on it. And you're just like, you got a lot of swings and misses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's something that I've learned too, where, don't put the cart before the horse. You have all these ideas and
Yeah.
you're like, so this date I'm doing this, and then this date I'm doing this, and then I'm going to make a movie and I'm going to do this and that. And then
Yeah.
1 year later, they're like, so what happened to all that stuff? Oh, well, just life got busy and, it just didn't happen.
And
So
you look like that person now.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's something that I learned where I was not necessarily saying I'm going to make two movies in a year and I'm going to produce 20 plays and stuff like that. I was never like that way, but I was always like, I have this play in mind and this person's going to play them. And then I message them and say, hey, I have this play idea that I'm thinking about. And then when
Right.
things just kind of get pushed, you're like, yeah, that project just kind of got shelved a little bit.
Right.
We'll do it eventually, but just not right
Right.
now. And that was something that I learned uh from starting this is don't put the cart before the horse. Like I got lots of ideas for shows now, but I just don't outright say this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this show at this time.
But here's the thing, in the creative process, you have all these ideas, and we know, I know that been working in the industry uh, for like almost 30 years going on professionally
Right.
from all sides, whether it's 30-second commercials, 11-minute cartoons, 3 hour, uh, you know, um, 3 hour features. It's like or mini series or movies of the week, and it just goes on and on. How from incubate from conception to incubation to production to post production to execute, like how does it work? Well, there is many ways to make it happen. um but it's like, where do you get started without talking about it? And this is what this is about. This is about a place where in the 90s, before we had social media, we would all meet at these think tanks, you know and we would all have these jam sessions on like monologue slams, slam poetry, new ideas, let's work together. And there was a real sense of community and collaboration, right? Because for me, the four cornerstones are community, communication, collaboration equals content. The
Yep.
four cornerstones, or the four cardinal directions, are community, communication, collaboration, and content equals content, sort of thing. And that's why, when we started talking, both of us, because you remind me a lot of me when I was your age. Like, remember, I'm a whole lifetime ahead of you, but I started out just like this, going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it with a wiffle ball bat. And I just went for it. And I met friends along the way, whether it was people that wanted to produce it or people that just wanted to help out or wanted to be in it and write, all of it. And it formed together because we had that. So by us creating this together, and just between you and I got some stuff that I want to pitch out there because I want our viewership to help me make this happen. And they can get a piece out of it. It's just like, hey, I'm in. I got this to offer. I got this. It takes a village.
Yeah, exactly. Rome wasn't built in a day, though. You know what I mean? Like it's the people who expect it, like handed it to them, um, almost like, okay, like like I'm gonna do this, and this. It's like, okay, but what are you doing to make that happen? Well, I'm kind of researching and stuff like that, and then
Yeah. Researching. I'm gonna get you to sign this NDA, sort of like before I continue. It's like, you don't need an NDA, do you? No.
no,
I don't. It's not. I'm still thinking out loud.
I'm still thinking
Cool.
of it. Exactly. I'm doing the
But
research
like
in my head.
like I tell people, I go, don't think out loud, because you say it out loud, you don't own that IP. It's out there. You put it out there. And
Exactly.
now I have a show that's kind of like yours, except my people are wearing blue hats. Your characters are wearing red hats. And I don't want that to happen. I want a place where people can feel safe to put out their ideas and we can help make it happen. And when I was talking to you, oh, I got a friend. And you lined up you put it out, because later on we're going to get people to send in tapes,
Yep.
to send in 2-minute videos. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get a thing going on. But you already have some people in the hopper, and so on our very first episode, you said we have a guest. Can you tell us a little bit about who we got coming up to our little session here? Who's going to pitch us their ideas and stuff like that?
Yes, absolutely. Super, super excited. Actually, me and our first guest, we go way back. Actually, we go way, way back to the drama club days. Her name is Felicia Mullin. Felicia, she is, of course, for anybody in Miramichi and surrounding areas. She is currently working.
You want to say for some of my American friends and my European friends where Miramichi is in
Yes,
Canada.
that's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good
don't
point.
Take it for granted, East Coast, because remember, even people here in Ontario can't think past Kingston or Ottawa, because then there's Quebec, and then there's you guys, but you're over there.
Well, it's funny because we a guest I had on the podcast earlier in the week. He's in California, and he actually asked me. He said, "So where's Miramichi? Like, what is Miramichi?" Like, he had no idea. Like, it's
what
just
is Miramichi?
What is Miramichi? Like, where is that located? You know what I mean?
It
so
does sound like a mystical creature from medieval times.
It's like, well, once upon a time.
Yeah. In
But
the land of Miramichi.
That's one idea I have that we're gonna pitch. Magical Land of Miramichi. So our first guest, Felicia.
Wait, tell everybody where Miramichi is.
Oh, right. Sorry, I completely missed that. So Miramichi is located in New Brunswick, Miramichi, New Brunswick, Canada. For any of you guys, I won't give out my postal code or address or anything, but Miramichi, New Brunswick, that's where we are. Trying to think geographically how I can describe that.
So yeah, exactly. It's on the East Coast.
Yes, East Coast.
East Coast, New Brunswick. Like, take the end here, right?
Yeah.
And then walk it over to here.
I'm so used to saying to people in this town, you know where so-and-so lives? Yeah, well, it's next to Buddy's house, because it's such a small town that you just say someone's name. You know his brother-in-law's house. Yeah, it's
Buddy a guy, just like that classified commercial, Buddy, or classified Oh Canada rap, man. Buddy Duder guy. I think that's so funny.
That's what it's like. And just growing up in a small town, that's just what you're like. Like, it's just you just automatically assume people know where that is. But so our first guest, Felicia Mullin, she's currently
from Miramichi.
From Miramichi. Yes, that's right.
Dang.
Hopefully I get it right
the props it deserves, because this is an untapped market. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and I kind of like that stuff.
Yes, exactly. Guys, it may seem like we're stalling, but this is literally me. This is us. This is how we normally go.
Yeah, this is it, because we're just lining it up, because coming up in the next segment is our first guest, and let's see who this is. Tell us a little bit about Felicia.
It is Felicia Mullin. She's currently a background painter at a local animation company, Lugaroo, and Felicia and I, we worked together back when I was in the, or we were both actually in the Miramichi Valley High School Drama Club. She worked backstage, I worked on stage, and she did our makeup, behind the scenes stuff. And that's kind of how we got to know each other. We had known each other since elementary, but then we kind of got to know each other throughout high school. And now here we are now. Never in a million years did she ever think she would be pitching her ideas to one of the best in the business, Seth MacFarlane.
Nice one.
Felicia Mullin coming right up, guys. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Thursday Think Tank with Christian and friends. I'm, of course, Franky Corker, but you guys know that. I'm not going to bother introducing myself. And Christian, you can introduce yourself again, but we already know who you are.
Hello, I'm Christian Potenza.
Hi, nice to meet you.
That's it. Like, that's it. That's just it.
And now we are also joined by Felicia Mullin, who we had introduced but she was off camera at the time. As I said, Felicia, she is a animator at Lugaru, right? I can never pronounce that right. Yep, perfect. And we also go way, way back to the drama club days, way back in high school. And we have reunited to hear some of her ideas. Felicia, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. Though we met before,
Oh,
we've actually you've actually known me since I was born.
Whoa, see,
Uh,
he's such a big shot. He forgot about you.
oh,
He shot ahead. He was like, see ya.
yeah. I My mom reminded me to tell you this before we
Yeah.
started that when I was born, you wanted to adopt me so that your family would have two C's and two F's. So it would be Felicia and Frankie, and then your other siblings who start with a C.
did I really? No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
you
Did
did.
I? Oh my God. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well,
Back then
I
he was
always
already
said
trying to
though,
produce.
I kept saying, I'm like, I should have a little sister named Felicia because see, there's Chelsea, Chase, Frankie. I'm like, it just feels weird. I'm like, and then my dad was Pat and Paula, and I'm
Mhm.
like, no, and then so it's PPCC and then just F. I'm like,
Yep.
I need something, and then I okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had
I
no
came
idea
along and
that.
you wanted to keep me so you'd have the other F.
That's so funny. I didn't know.
See, he's already trying to produce family. Like, it has to go his way. I should have a little sister and her name should start with an F. And since that one is already born and that's an F, great. I should adopt. I love it. I love it.
I didn't know that. That's so funny.
How old would he have been?
What's our age difference?
I'm 24. I think you're
Yeah.
22, are you?
I'll be 23 this August, so you must have been like 2 when you wanted me.
Okay, yeah. I would not have remembered it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I want to get to know you more. And this show is all about pitching your ideas. You can pitch to anybody and you can have a great idea, but unless you have it in a format that they understand, then it's not going to get heard unless it has a format. So in true sort of voice acting form, or by using your voice by pitching your thing, I want to introduce a format. So we're going to do a little thing called a slate, where you introduce your name just like a radio host and go, hello, my name is. And the laws of average are 50% of the people like you, 50% of the people hate you. They actually hate you, not because it's you, it's because you remind them of somebody, someplace, somewhere, sometime, or parts of themselves they wish they had and wish they had enough guts to do. Anyways, for whatever reason, they don't like you. That's the laws of average about putting yourself out there. Then you're going to say what you're going to talk about, just like a radio host would say, or a host would say, on today's episode, we're going to be discussing, or we're going to be speaking to, or we're going to be unpacking, right? And then you're going to talk about what you're going to talk about. And while you're doing that, the listenership, as well as Frankie and I, are listening to what you're talking about and relating our own experiences, emotions to what you're saying, so we make a connection. So that's why you're going to tail slate at the end and go, my name is, and thanks for listening, however you want. And during that time, nobody's going to talk except for you. So you're going to introduce yourself and go, hello, my name is. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. Then you're going to tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you want. And then when you're done, you're going to go, I am, and thanks for listening, or however you want to sign out. And then we can open it up for conversation. But that's the power of the slate. It's like the conch. It's you formatting, tabling yourself. And so you understand the format?
I do.
All right. Let's hear a little bit about you. Besides, listen, before we get going, I know you're in animation, but as soon as I heard you speak, I was like, why aren't you voicing these your thing? Like, you've got it, you got something here, right? Yeah. Oh, what, this old chestnut? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, Felicia, we are rolling.
Well, hello. Um, my name is Felicia, as we've heard before. I work at Lugaru as a background painter, which is essentially I help clean up backgrounds for shows. So far I've only worked on one show. I've only been at Lugaru for a year. Um, and it's really fun. My whole life I've been into cartoons, uh, especially Canadian cartoons because I am in Canada. Um, Chris has been a part of my TV watching experience, most like 80% of it. Him and Scott McCord as well. My favorite show as a kid was Ruby Gloom, and all my all my animals ever since I was a kid have been named after characters from Ruby Gloom. Right now I have a dog named Skullboy. Um, and just being in the animation area has been a dream of mine because it's so cool that I can now help make uh cartoons for other kids who were like me watching cartoons and being like, wow, this is like my favorite show. Like I love Adventure Time or whatever. And being able to make something like that for others is like a really cool like honor, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just like a tiny itty bitty role. Um, but yeah, and I I'm neurodivergent. Uh I there's a list I could go on about forever. Um, but like the most prominent one is attention deficit disorder, so it's really hard for me to keep on top of things, focus, all that jazz. And even in school, I would barely go most days because I just couldn't, or if I was at school, I wouldn't be doing any work. I'd just be drawing, and I'd always get in trouble for it. Um, and eventually I was just like, I need to not do work and do art. So I went to NBCC for animation and graphic design, and I was acing it. I was one of the top students. I loved being there. Um, and right out of college, I got my job at Luguru because I just first I needed money, but second of all, they were looking for a background painter, and I had uh my best works in college were my background stuff. I did like these assignments where I had to do a Johnny Test background where like they're in the sisters lab and there's like a big rocket ship and like I aced it and they're just like, "Oh yeah, these are really good. You should work for us." And that's where I'm at. Um that was my little talk. Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, yeah, I know about the school. And like, listen, I remember sitting in a room with the principal, vice principal, guidance counselor, and my parents. And, I was told flat out that I would not be able to support myself, or would I be able to raise a family or do anything by making funny voices. Ah,
Look at me now.
yeah, and I never got a spare, and I always had to be like in in a detention setting or the resource room and
Right,
being supervised because they didn't want me wandering the halls and doing like stuff that I really wanted to do, which was nothing to do with school.
right.
Um, you said you're neurodivergent. We are all on a spectrum, and I have a program right now called the Freedom Forgers that works with I work with neurodivergent people. How early on did you find out that you had superpowers? And that's the thing,
Yeah,
you were built to do this, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And so when did that happen? Before high school?
Yeah, in elementary school, I would like skip out on classes and stuff, just because of anxiety. But it
Right?
really started in grade 5 because I had this horrible god awful teacher, who specifically picked on me and nobody else.
Yes,
And
yes, I know
yeah,
about that.
yeah, and she made me not be able, like I would cry and scream and never want to go to school, and I'd be like crying on my way in. And
Right.
eventually my mom took me to like a doctor or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, you have like severe anxiety. And it's in middle school I got prescribed, but it still didn't work. Like they gave me was like anxiety meds. And but I was still not being able to go and like do work. So then in high school, in my final year of high school actually, I got prescribed ADHD medication, which literally made my life like a million times better.
Yeah.
Um and but of course, it was the year the pandemic started. So as soon
Mm.
as I was hitting that high and like getting all of my grades, just boom, no school, nothing. You have to stay home now and do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then you're on these meds, which helps you concentrate, but now you're in a blank room. Listen, you're like me. I'm like a border collie. Unless I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like I'm a border collie. I need to work the farm. If I'm not doing what I'm doing, I might as well be a dog in a gymnasium staring at beach balls, licking myself. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
like what the hell am I doing? I get it. And that leads to occupational hazards for us super beings, right?
Mhm.
You need something to plug it into.
Yeah.
um, so speaking of plugging it in, we heard a little bit about you. I want to know more. I do
Mhm.
want to know more about you because I like your story. And it's like, I want to make cartoons so people like me can do it. That's why I started the Freedom Forgers. I've always been an outsider, been a little bit different, bullied, picked on, and that shit follows you for the rest of your life sometimes, unless you want it to, unless you recreate your world, which it sounds like that's what you did,
Mhm.
which means you are a creator. So you are good at, you have the ability to create, right, from nothing to
Right.
something, but not this prison or fortress, to protect yourself. But now let's talk about that idea that's in here. And you have several ideas because you just said it. ADHD. I was like,
Yep.
yep, here we go.
Yep.
Popcorn.
Yep.
Right? As far as I'm concerned, it's a bowl of never-ending chips,
Oh yeah.
right? It's a bowl of never every time you come in, I'm like that too. Ideas. You can all have some. I don't care. I don't
Yep.
care. But I want to hear about your ideas. And we're going to do the same format where you get to talk about your ideas with a slate. So don't forget to say who you are and go, I'd like to talk a little bit about my ideas or this one idea or see where it goes. And then, because for people like you and me, unless we have that, we're going to hopscotch, zigzag, and da 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 da, especially when you're pitching your ideas. I'm not saying you get one shot. We'll talk some more. But for you sharing this with everybody else who's listening, because you said, I'd like to make it for people like me, people like you were watching.
Mhm.
This is inspirational. So, how you get up the nerve to do this and how you table it is setting an example. And I really want to hear your ideas because already I'm in, just on
Yep.
that was a great introduction to who you are, you
Oh,
know I
I
want
think
to know
you're
more. You did it well. Sometimes people are like, I was like, oh, and look at the time. We are right. Like it's just like it's redundant, but that was really good. Especially when you said ADHD, neurodivergent. Like there was no skitter scatter, da 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 da. And I loved it. So now let's hear your idea. You're going to slate again. Say, I'd like to tell you my ideas. And you're going to talk about them. And you have the conch, unless for some reason I'm like, oh, okay, just to clarify, because I will go to other places while you're talking and I'm going to take notes, but I will not stop your flow. I won't interrupt you, but I may just for clarification, and then remind you how to get back on.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't want you to worry about time or sounding like blah, blah. No, this is your pitch, this is your time, and have fun. So here we go. By the way, are your ideas animation only, or is it all over the place, multimedia?
It's pretty much all over the place. Most of my ideas are honestly graphic novels or like webtoons or all that. So
Ooh.
I just said that to Frankie yesterday. I want to work with
That,
people. Okay, you know what? Ooh, okay, shutty uppy, Potenza, shut up. Let her talk.
okay.
Okay, I'm shutting up, going back. Okay, sister,
Mhm.
here we go.
Okay.
And we are rolling.
So, um, I have multiple, because with ADHD, I'm all over the place.
Oh, can
I
you
like
slate? Can you slate, please? Yeah, hello, my name is.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right, you can't. Yeah, you got to slate, because then anything between "hello, my name is" or "I'm blah blah blah, thanks for listening," that's you. No one's going to
Okay.
interrupt you. Okay. And also for editing, I want to teach people this is the format. If you want to talk, so you're not, and then picture this, and then even if you do that within it, no one's going to interrupt you, but that'll force you, because no one's going to knock you off course. Right.
Okay.
So do that again. And here we go. And take two. This, I'll do this for editing purposes. We might keep it in, we might not. You're all going to learn some format. Take two, and we're rolling.
Okay. I'm Felicia, and here's my slate. Um, I'm all over the place. I like to do everything. I paint, I draw, I animate, I storyboard, I sculpt, I sew, I everything. I scream. And a lot of my pitches are mostly graphic novel based. I always have these really cool storylines that I make like at 3 a.m. when I'm trying to go to sleep. They just all bounce in my head and like bing bing bing. Oh, what if this? What if this happens? What if I do that? And oh, that would be so cool as a graphic novel. Anyways, one of my first ones was a this like high fantasy uh kind of like mix of the labyrinth with Neverending Story, where like these kids get sucked into this book they find in the attic, and then like they go into this high fantasy realm where it's like these siblings, and they get separated, and one of them goes with the evil side thinking they're the good ones, and then the one goes with the good side saying like, oh, this evil side is bad, we need to like fight them. And then eventually they're like, the siblings have to fight each other in this fantasy realm of magical wonder and curiosities. um and it would be like a teen novel kind of thing. I used to read a lot of those, and I still do. I actually don't read normal books. I just read graphic novels, honestly. Um, and another one was just uh it was it's like these just like a slice of life uh adults like in college, and like it's based off of these kids who have different artistic talents like music, like instrument singing, painting and all that. And then each chapter is about their story and their point of view. Um, and each chapter, it all like the more the chapters go on, the more their stories connect towards each other. And eventually like it'll lead to them like finding each other or something. I haven't really I'm workshopping that ending. I don't know how that one would end. Um, and I that's those are my top two. The third one is just I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like Pokemon, if you know that, if you know what Pokemon is. But it obviously will not be Pokemon because of copyright. Um, and it's about
Don't worry about it. Total Drama fans don't give a F about that. They just did their own thing. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, you probably don't want to mess with Pokemon. All right,
Yeah.
continue. Sorry.
There's already like this game called Pal World that's like very adjacent to Pokemon and they're being sued, so I don't want to go near that. Um and it's about kind of like East Coast Canada, but like with these creatures who are in our lives day to day. Um and it's kind of based on mine and Frankie's hometown, but also more Newfoundland because I really like how Newfoundland looks. Like it's very misty and muggy. Um, and the story would be is that they're these creatures are being used as a science experiment to make more creatures for like companies for like in a very like not good way. And then one of those creatures escapes and like sets this giant mist in the mist. It's like a mist creature that makes a misty mist. I've said mist too many times. Um, and like the town, like you could barely see, and like because of this mist, there's a whole bunch of other darker creatures looking about because it's like spookier. Um, and these kids have to help find this creature before the science company finds it and takes it back for experiments. And yeah, that's about it, I think. Thank you. That was the end. I'm Felicia.
Great. So I have made my notes. Is there anything else before we end this segment? And then we're going to hop back in and then we're just going to have at it. Is there anything else that you can remember or like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this about the graphic novel, The Slice of Life, or the Misty Pokemon concept?
Um,
Graphic novel, kids, siblings,
mm,
the Slice of Life, or the Misty Pokemon, the East
um,
Coast Demon.
there isn't there isn't really much that I can think of on the spot, but I
Yep.
have uh I created this animatic storyboard in college for that first graphic novel fantasy one, and I
Beautiful.
do have it on YouTube that you can watch it, and it's kind of like it would be like a trailer. It's a trailer of the graphic novel if it were to be a thing.
We call it a sizzle reel.
Okay.
Call it a sizzle reel, or a pilot. You know what I mean? But go with sizzle reel because it's just like
Okay.
it's a pilot's like a little more like I'm going to pilot. Like you want to get the sizzle reel to get funding to make the pilot, and then the
Right.
pilot will get you the whatever. So yeah, we're gonna talk all about that in a second here. I love it. I already. Oh, look at that! You got a thumbs up. Actually,
Yay.
you get two. Papa. I
85% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it here, and we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to go to the think tank, and we're going to help you lift these from the page. You know what I mean? And make them happen. Great.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Bam.
We will be back, guys. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Thursday Think Tank with Christian and Friends. I'm Frankie. That's Christian. That's Felicia. We had just listened to Felicia's. Oh, Christian, just you hurt your shoulder?
Yes, on my technology.
Oh,
Tech hurts
gee. I
sometimes.
looked over and
Dang.
Christian was just like that. I'm like, oh God,
It hit on that funny spot too.
funny
Anyways,
bone.
this is about Felicia, not my funny bone. Um, uh, Felicia just gave a great pitch. We're breaking this up into segments for those of you that are catching part C here. Felicia just pitched she introduced herself, a little bit about herself, and she pitched three great ideas. before we delve into what we what I think we can do with this here, Frankie,
Hmm.
what do you think of the what's your take on the graphic novel?
I love it. I really, really do love it. Wait, so I just want to clarify here. So the graphic novel, you of course gave three ideas. These are graphic novels. So of course you have
Oh, they're all graphic
they're
novels.
all graphic novels. Okay. Just wanted to clarify that first. So I love them. The one I really, really like the most is the college one. Uh, it's probably just a personal preference of mine, just because I love stories that are grounded in reality, and I'm also a huge fan of those types of movies and TV shows that involve the protagonist looking to pursue their dreams, kind of thing. Not that this is necessarily like a biopic kind of thing, but that type of, because of course you have the different kids with different talents who then find their way to each other, and I always love that in drama shows where you have like 10 different storylines, and then sometimes you're wondering, like halfway through you're like, okay, this just feels like three different shows, but then once it comes together, it's like,
Right.
wow, that's what we were building up to. Like perfect example is you guys hear me talk about it on the podcast all the time, is Better Call Saul, where Better Call Saul
Mm-hmm.
feels a lot of the time where it's, we of course have the Saul legal side with the law and lawyers and stuff like that. Then we have the cartel side where it's killing and shooting and stuff like that. And so you're watching it.
They both define each other, by the way.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
without one, the other one doesn't exist. Doesn't need to.
No, exactly. But I mean, if you took one, like if you took Breaking Bad out of the equation and you just watch it and you're just
Mm,
like, this just feels like two
right,
different shows. Like,
right,
why are we doing this?
right.
And then once it comes together, you're like, oh, like that was fantastic. And that's what I love about this story is that we
Right.
have so like I picture you have in one chapter follow one kid and you're very invested in his story. And then the next chapter goes to another kid, and there'll probably be a party that's going, oh my god, why you'll probably have lots of people getting mad going, oh my god, I want to see what's going to happen to him. Oh my god, like why are we following this person? Oh, and then you're all over the place where you're wanting to find out what happens to all of them, and then once it combines together, that's what I love. I really, really
Yeah.
love that idea.
My favorite part about stuff like that is how it could be you can rewatch or reread those things, because then if you go back to those earlier chapters about somebody, you can like connect the dots to something that happens later on, and you can like, oh, that's why that happened earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Planting the seeds, like
Yeah.
that's always because uh you might put something on paper, like draw something that you're like, why would she feel the need to waste paper with that? Like, why would she do that?
Yes.
And then, oh, that's what it's for. And then you might even see it in, like, I've seen it in movies all the time where they keep focusing on like one item through the whole thing, and
Mhm.
you're
Have
like,
you guys
what? Oh yeah.
have you guys ever seen, just to help you out here with format and how to execute this? Have you ever seen a film or heard of a film called Blue, White, Red? The colors of the French flag, blue, white, red.
Blue Red? Nope, didn't hear that one. No.
No, I don't think
Uh,
so.
Watch this one. Blue, white, red movie. There it
Sorry.
is. There it is, right here with Juliette Binoche. It came out in the 90s. Okay. It's called Blue, White, Red. And it came out in the 90s. I remember renting this from Blockbuster
Is
with
that
my
Anthony
girlfriend.
Hopkins? Or
I
am I
don't
just seeing
think
things?
so. No, no, no. It
Okay.
is Juliette Binoche, something Regent, very, very, very 90s. Um, late 80s, early 90s. Check it out. Now, when I first saw this movie, I had heard about this because it was really neat because of the concept. The people in the Blue movie, it was like three movies in one, but you could see other people from other other storylines
Yeah.
crossing in and out, but they were just like SOCs or background. They didn't say
Right.
anything, but you saw them leave. And then you watch their movie and you saw everything happening within the scene, and you see how people's
Yeah.
lives intertwine. So that's kind of the vibe I was getting when you're
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
choose
Yeah,
your
that's
own
exactly it.
adventure. Each chapter is a thing. I thought of that right away. If you want to see it done well, I highly recommend Blue, White, Red. Not
Okay.
red, white, blue. That's America. That was America.
America.
That was America. So check out that one and check out the format, especially if you're doing graphic novel, because this is
Yeah.
cinematography at its fight. The storytelling is different, which is closer to cinema, which is graphic novels. They're very much cinematic in
Right.
their approach, right? Rather than animation or comic book style. Just out of curiosity, are they all graphic novels, all three ideas, or can they be?
Yeah, they can be anything really. I just feel like if I were to do this thing by myself, the easiest way for me to do it would be graphic novels.
And that's just essentially storyboarding.
Yeah.
Isn't yeah,
And
Right.
exactly.
I'm really good
An
at
animatic.
storyboarding.
And that's the thing, because your first one here, the graphic novel, right away, I was like, kids, siblings, this, that. And I was like, is it the Goonies? Like, it just sounded like, it's got Goonie vibes, especially on that East Coast. You were like, I was getting Goonie vibes, adventure and stuff. So is it possible to braid all three ideas into a graphic novel?
Maybe.
I'm thinking braid all three instead of having three separate ones. Make a strong braid and get all three ideas. Just an idea, because I love doing. I started this concept for recording animation with when back in the day I was over at Pirate Radio, where I did a lot of commercial work, and I walked into my friend's office who was an audio engineer, and he showed me these two new microphones that go in your ears like earbuds, but they go in and they're two microphones as well as speakers, so you can talk to somebody without like, hey, how's it going? You can talk to somebody. And him and I walked from Pirate Radio. We walked all the way down to St. Lawrence Market, a couple of blocks, ordered some Portuguese chicken sandwiches with the custard tarts. Like, forget about it. And then we walked back, and I stayed on his left. He stayed on his right. And we walked back, and then we came back, and he put up our recordings, and we were talking and stuff. And he put up our recordings, and we could see the wave files. And it was like left and right speaker, right? They were separate tracks. And I was just looking at it, and I was like, his were different than mine. And he goes, because we perceive sound by the shapes of our ears. That's why some people like this and like that. But I was like, isn't that interesting? The microphones now are affected by the shape of my ear, right? So the way I hear things, I just thought that was neat. But I was like, wouldn't it be amazing, instead of being in a booth going, hi, I'm a little blah, 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 and I'm doing a thing, I'm going on an adventure, da, da, and it's all stilted, and then you do it in layers, they got room tone. What if we did cartoons or animation like film, where you've got a lav mic and you got a boom, and you act it out and you get the actual scene, and then you use that real sound to animate. It's just like, whoa. So with graphic novels, I'd like to do that. You know what I mean? I'd like it, instead of stilted and making a controlled environment sound it just sounds fake, but to reenact them.
Yeah, I remember that they did that for the movie Fantastic Mr. Fox. Like, they
Yes.
recorded like George Clooney and like Bill Murray like at a dinner table in somebody's house, and they just recorded it, and then they got like the ambience of that room for the
And the
recording.
ad libs, you can't
Right.
script ad libs, that
Yep.
organic back and forth. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that would work well for your soundscapes, for your graphic novel, for the first one. Does it have a working title? I've got kid sibling.
Yeah, for when I did that little storyboard thing on YouTube, I called it Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun.
Here's Empire of the Sun.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg movie.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Here are some Steven Spielberg movies.
Thank you, phone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Steven Spielberg pops up on Zoom. What?
Yeah, because as soon as you said it, I was like, Empire of the Sun. I was like, first thing you got to do, guys,
Yeah.
right away, when you come up with something, go to GoDaddy.com and see if somebody's or even a Gmail account right away. Okay.
Yeah.
Go get the Gmail account first, then go to GoDaddy, then get the domain. Bat. Empire of the Sun. So now you can do a play on words here. We can get it. Find another word for empire, find another word for sun, blah, blah, blah. But isn't it funny? If you bookend your two ideas, your first one, your last one, your first one is about Empire of the Sun. And then the last one is about mist.
Yeah.
They're the two opposite things.
Yeah.
Mist shows up when there ain't no sun or the sun's being blocked, right? Very interesting. Okay. I really like that idea of Empire of the Sun, but I like the idea of braiding them all together. I love the idea of the red, white, and blue, the interlocking the paths that go in and out. And I like the idea of the mystery of the mist. Like if that's the creature, the unseen, like that's just huge. And that you can animate so well. Like, you know what? The best form of animation is imagination. The cheapest form of animation, right? So if you got mist and you got sound effects, you're all like, it's even scarier. You know, I always do this thing with voice acting. I call it the kimono drop. I was like, what is more sexy? What's more alluring? What's more, if a woman just drops the negligee and then you see naked, or if they're like, they leave frame and then you see the negligee, you know, the thing drop and you just see an arm and an arm goes, like, that's way more sexy than that. That's why I like the mist. I like the interwoven storylines. That's choose your own adventure. I wrote down choose your own adventure, but see, if you make it an app, do you know what I mean? An interactive app, like a graphic novel app, but then that way you can get all three in there, or make season 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Does that make sense? Because they're all good, but as a standalone, it'd be like, because when you create anything, especially in animation, you are limited to your budget and the background, right? Yep. You're limited to that, and they make what's called the world. But when you're making a show or a concept, you create what's called the Bible.
Yeah.
Right. And that usually has a minimum of the 3 years arcing, and then possibly 5. And if you're so, you know, think it's going to be then 10 years, you know, you go for it and you don't deviate from it. The moment you deviate from the Bible, well, all hell breaks loose and it falls apart. As we've seen with other shows. Which one is your favorite? If you had to pick, not like a mom that goes, I love all my kids, right? I know you're a content generator, but if you could choose 1, 2, or 3, just not because also when you're pitching, you should also have a rodeo clown, one that somebody's just going to go, no, right away. Give the people you're pitching a chance to hack something apart. So a sacrificial lamb, I call it the rodeo clown. And then you underplay the one that you're like, yeah, there's this one, but that's the one you're edging for, number 1 or 2. And then you play it off like, oh, we also got this other one that it's not fully fleshed out yet, but you're all like, please get that one. And you play nonchalant, right? I liked all of these concepts. And I know if given the moment, if given the chance, you would flesh one out. But let's pick your first one. Let's hear from you. Pick your first one that you like. This is the one I really want to do. Which one is it? Let Frankie and I will put you through some questions here.
Okay. I feel like out of those 3, it would probably be the first one with like the fantasy one, mostly because I have that one the most fleshed out in my mind. Just because I know the most about that one, whereas the other ones could turn into like anything. Like I don't have like a specific plot to fix on those 2.
Okay. Quick question, because I wrote down kids, siblings. You said how many kids? Because cast, the size of your cast says a lot too. A lot of people like, and then there's this person. I was like, nope, you got to have your leads. Then you have your support. Then you have and then you have second season people that you will introduce in thought at the beginning or whatever, or a picture or something. how
Yeah.
many? What is your cast? Can you break down your main cast, please?
Yeah, for sure. So the two protagonists, I can never say that word right. Is just a brother and a sister. The brother is a bit older in his like puberty hormonal ways where he's like a
Oh,
little
so he's
bit
a
angsty
teen.
and like he doesn't want to like play with his sister anymore. And the sister is a bit younger and she's like scrappy and like loves to like play in the dirt.
How old is
Um,
she?
she's probably like 12 to 13. And like he would be like 15. Like,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Um,
Okay. So
and yeah,
we would say for him, we are looking for a voiced a character. He is 13 to 16 or 12. Let's go 13 to 17. That's a
right.
good range. 18
Yeah.
is a different thing. So there's a category 13 to 17. And she is how old again? What's the number you said?
Around 12 and 13.
12 or
So like
13.
like
So
like
we
8
would
to 8
go,
to 13.
we would go, let's go 10 to
Mhm.
13, 10
Yeah.
to 13, maybe a 14, like just over that. I just turned a teenager, just depending, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times too, when you're casting people to play, you get somebody's older who has life experience to play somebody younger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why they hired a bunch of 30-year-olds to play 16-year-olds. That's why 90210 old had like
Yeah.
30-year-olds playing high school students. Same
Oh,
thing, right? It's just,
I forgot to show the podcast the earrings.
Yes. Isn't that cool?
dude, it's like Jude and Star going on a date, except I'm not going to puke in your mouth. Those are sweet earrings. Where'd you get those?
I made them.
What? You
I made
made them?
See, dude, let's just start producing merch for your
Yeah.
ideas. Go merch
Yes.
first. Let's go merch first on this.
That's what I've been doing. I've been doing merch first. I even made myself stickers of myself. Hold on.
What?
Ooh.
Oh man, see? Now I like this idea up top now that I know that a graphic novel should have some graphic tees with it, right?
Maybe.
And some earrings and stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me more about the cast. So now I've got an older brother, a teen, mid-teen,
Yeah.
mid-teen,
Tweens.
and then I've got a pre-teen, or I've got a tween.
Yep.
That's showing up. That's the younger sister. Obviously different things. They come from a family, or is it one of these like Disney shows where kids rule the universe and adults are idiots and stuff? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No.
The iCarly nations of it all.
What
Okay.
I was thinking is that in the real world before they get like transferred into that high fantasy realm is that it's very drab and like maybe their parents are like struggling with like a divorce or something, like something that maybe one kid who is in that situation can relate to, who also like fantasizes about going into a different fantasy, you know?
So here's something. If you're talking about the parents, they can struggle with the divorce, but have them post
Off screen.
No, but have them already divorced. Like, so one
Yeah.
drug, because it's like the go between mom's place and dad's place, there
Yeah.
could be like that Narnia, that thing behind,
Yeah, that's what I originally imagined, is that they're going to like their mom's new place for that week, and then since it's a new place, they haven't like really explored the attic or whatever, and then that's where they find like this book that gets them teleported or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about this. What if so you have the parents that are divorced,
Newly divorced. Stay newly divorced.
newly
'cause that's-
divorced. Their kids are missing now. How often are you going back and forth between the fantasy world and the real world? Do you plan on going between them back and forth?
Since I was thinking both of the kids, since they're both the main characters, they're going to be transported, it wouldn't really have that change back into the real world. Because I was originally thinking that it would be kind of like that weird mysterious magic where no time in the real world has changed. Like they've only been gone for like 5 seconds.
Okay.
So, like,
Okay,
did it really
interesting.
actually happen?
Because what
or
I
was it
had
a
in
dream?
what I had
Wrinkle
in
in
mind
time.
was the parents are newly divorced and their kids missing forces them. They have to form an alliance. Like that kind of brings them back, not back together,
Yeah.
but it adds a whole new
Just
layer
like a
to their
subgenre.
relationship. Yeah, exactly. It's like a Maggie and Negan on The Walking Dead. Negan, spoiler alert, Negan brutally killed Maggie's husband, but her son is kidnapped. They have to work together now. Like that kind of, I mean, obviously the
Right.
circumstances are
So
different. Yeah.
I know what you
so
mean.
listen, between two worlds, right? Like as divorce kids that have divorced parents, you're between two worlds and creating a link. So there's always that thing, we got to get back to mom's because we're supposed to be there. And here we are on planet whatever. And we got to get back to thing. And it's the struggle back to like, there you guys are. You ready to go to your dad's? It's like,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, they went through hell and back.
To
Yeah.
get it there, but also the portal between their mom and dad's place, right? Because they end up being like, shit, we're at dad's. Like not supposed to be there, right? Because
Right.
I love having the two worlds, but wormholes everywhere. Speaking of their teleportation or blah blah blah, I once came up with a concept about this princess from another planet who was thrown to earth with like a little sidekick who was also like, she's royalty, and but now she's like a small 7, 8, 9 year old girl. It's based off my daughter growing up, and she has this little fox, almost like Calvin and Hobbes. It's like a stuffy, but it's actually a fox, and it lives, and she would teleport through playgrounds. So she'd be on a swing, and she'd have to get it to a certain velocity and like,
Okay.
you know what I
That's
mean? Or
cute.
fight all with playground toys, or
Right.
whatever they have out there. And they could travel the world and through time and this and that. How do these people, is it the amulet? Is it through the said portals, or do they appear? Is it like a quest? Is it a black hole? Is it a portal? Or is it something they have that they can call on demand?
Right. My original vision, I guess suppose, is just like it's a book, kind of like
A
like a
book.
oh my God, I'm having a brain for it. Never ending story.
Yes,
It's
that's
like
what you
never ending
said.
story where like you open the book and maybe like they say something and then like it was actually a spell that they just said out
Spell.
loud
Yeah.
and it sucks them in.
Yes. Well, actually, if they're reading the book, that chapter that they're reading, it says, to get to the blah blah blah, you need to da da da. It'll tell you. It's like a quest to find the thing, or it's like find the
Right.
thing with the tree with the da da da. It's whatever it is. It's in the book. So the book is the thing that gives the directions. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So the book. Now, where did the book come from? That's important.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
important.
They
The
I see them finding it in the attic. So I'm thinking like whoever used to live in this home that they just moved to before them was the original owner.
Okay, so that's like a direct carbon copy from Neverending Story.
Yeah.
So
Or
I
no,
like,
didn't Never-ending story he find it in the school?
yeah, but he was still upstairs in the attic
Okay.
of the school,
Yeah.
right? And it was that all that junk around, and he was
Yeah.
hunkered down, right? And it was everything was underneath. Remember the door opened and he was up
Yeah.
there, or the window. So let's go. They stumble upon it, but what if it was, let's say, delivered because they were chosen?
Yeah, that makes
Right?
sense.
Like, remember when Harry Potter got his owl? You're all like, what the actual that awesome. Like, if it was like they were chosen, where did it come from? Right? He was
Right.
approached. Harry was like, I just live under the stairs. I got, he was like, whatever. And all of a sudden he's like, I'm a wizard. What? And all these people showed up and an owl with his stuff,
Yeah.
So I think like having guides, because right now we're on the parents who are not leads, but we're on these two leads.
Yeah.
Who is their Dumbledore? Like, who is their Hagrid? Like, who is their
Well,
guy? Like that,
yeah.
where this book has to come from that place.
Yeah. In my story, the two siblings, when they get transported, they get separated, and the brother is with the like the Wicked Witch, the sorceress girl, who kind of symbolizes their mother, and then the sister
Ooh.
goes off with like the king, who symbolizes the dad.
Oh,
And
wow.
in in their real life, the
So this
sibling.
is like past
Mhm.
lives. This is like
Yeah,
them cycling through the lives
yeah,
and the multi dimensions, but it's always the same people.
yeah. Like it's um almost like Wizard of Oz, where like how like their
Yeah,
family
yeah,
members sound
yes,
like magical fantasy people.
yes.
Um,
Wizard of Oz.
yeah,
I
Good
did
call.
think
Good
about
call.
that. As soon as she first pitched it, I had that in my mind. I said, this feels very Wizard of Oz, kind of.
Okay, okay. So you know what? Um, yeah, it does. It's very Wizard of. Yeah, it's a lot of things, right?
yeah,
It's like it's a lot of things. So so I like that idea because the parents in the Muggle 3D world, like in the
yeah,
live thing, they're just parents and they're insignificant. But
yeah,
in through the wormhole at a thing, there's a king, there's a sorceress, there's it's like that a hero, villain, sidekick, mentor, and
yeah.
okay, I like that. But now, who's their enemy?
Each
Is
other.
it
Because like their parents in the real world are fighting, and so like the sorceress and king are fighting each other. But like spoilers, I guess, at the end it turns out so sorceress used to be the queen and they used to be married, you know?
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's a good twist.
and that's flashbacks. That's beautiful. That'll eat up a lot of time, and that's great. The
And
the
that's one of those
legend of
things that
and
we were
that's in the
talking about.
book.
It goes back and forth between
Yeah.
like different, like we'll see flashbacks to
And like
them, and they had
different,
different names.
yeah, different chapters will be like, oh, the sister's story with the king, and the other story will like rewind and go back through like the same event time span, but this time with the brother.
Okay.
Wow.
And then each episode will bring another type of villain that
Yeah.
will obviously go away or stay in that world to be seen later, because the best thing about playing with time machines or multi dimensions or quantum, all that stuff, is that character, that entity, that being can stay there, and we can come back, and then you can go back and see them again. They're not dead. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's kind of neat. Or if one dies, it shows up in the other one,
Hmm.
as the same thing. I like that. But we need to have we should have, like, kind of like this, where there's light, there's shadow, where there's shadow,
Yeah.
there's light. We need to have a set, like, devil character, that one mastermind that is really egging on the dark side.
That's what the sorceress is really like. She wants
So she is
the
that.
throne back, and she kind of like manipulates the brother into like thinking like her, like, oh, it's the dark side. Like this guy stole my throne. We have to take it back from this guy.
Okay. So we've got a cast of 4 that's equally balanced: male, female, male, female, female, male, da da da. Older and direct family. So there's a
Yeah.
bloodline thing happening there. Very key in your storyline, the bloodline. Now, that 5th character, that mystical creature that speaks English. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is that going to be? Is that going to be an AI robot? Is that going to be an angel? Is that going to be something that can take many forms?
I
That
think
is
we
their
I think
guide?
we could just make that character Frankie, just put him in there and he'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll make
I
it
like the
happen.
way you think.
Yeah.
Frankie's our pickup guy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Perfect.
You're the messenger.
pickup animation. Hey man, we got some pickup animation. You good? Um, car. Cartoon. Wow, buddies, I'm old. I tried to dad joke something there that didn't work, but it kind of did. You got to admit, it
It
was almost
credit
there.
where credit is due, my friend. Credit where credit is due.
Listen, do you know what I'd like to see from you? I'd like for you to come back in a let's say in 4 or 6 weeks. I'm going to set you on a little task here,
Okay.
and we can talk off campus here and like help with it, but this is what I think you should do. I think you should create 3 episodes, right?
Okay.
And make
Like a
them
script,
11
like a
minute,
little Bible.
make no, just this is before
Just
we even create the
okay.
Bible, right? This is just something for you to see. If you create um 3 11-minute episodes, with some arcing in a
Mhm.
season. Let's just say first season. What does it look like? So, not the pilot episode, but the first, somewhere in the first 3 episodes. If you have, let's say you've got 13 episodes, right? Which is half a season. So if you do 11-minute cartoons or episodes, 11-minute episodes, and you do 13, that's a good way to sort of think about it, instead of like a 22-minute and 26 episode thing. Those kind of cartoons are going away, but that's not to say that yours isn't, because yours is cinema. Yours is it's cinematographic. It's cinema. What's the word
Cinnamon.
I'm looking? It's
Cinema
cinnamon.
magic.
Your it's cinnamon. I like cinnamon. But there's like, it's cinematic. When I'm seeing this, it's Percy. It's like, it's got the elements of this fantasia, but it's based in reality, right? So what I'd like to see from you is, and it's just a synopsis, I'd like to see flesh out the 4 characters and possibly a little sidekicky something that binds them all together that helps.
I might already have that somewhere on my laptop, because I made this, I fleshed it out mostly in college, and so there was assignments that were attached to it, and I
Great.
might already have
Great.
like a small like pitch notes where it's like synopsis of who the characters are. I might already have that.
That's fantastic. Then good. Let's draw on that.
Mhm.
And so what I'd like for you to do is spend a week or 2 weeks fleshing that out. If you already have it, then grab it, then see if you can format it in episode 1,
Right.
and then mid-season ish episode, and third season, also with some character outlines. Okay. And if you can, some illustrations. I'm not looking for full rotations, but that, and then also in your synopsis of them, and I can help you out with this, is, writing, this person. I can give you some examples of some of the cartoons that I'm auditioning for, or that I've kept going, this is, and even from my own, but I'd rather give you ones that and then show you some of mine that I've created for pitching and for a lookbook or whatever. And because that's what we're essentially going to try and do, is create a sizzle reel with a lookbook.
Yeah, I've seen a few lookbooks before, like my boss Gene, he showed me a lot of like lookbooks and Bibles for the shows that he worked on Cartoon Network, and it's cool.
Great. See, and that's wonderful that you have all this experience and you love what you do. So let's see if we can make this happen, because even for your sizzle reel, we can put it together. Like, I can do the sound. We can do that. And just even for an animatic or a sizzle reel, or even for your lookbook, make it a digital lookbook that's interactive. That's the way to go. I'm very excited to see that, and take your time, but let's actually do this, and let's make a deadline to actually produce a sizzle reel or lookbook, and also maybe add some elements of these guys, of your other 2 in there. Why not? Because when I was saying there's like an evil character, what if the mist, this mystical, like the book showed there was mist, and they bumped into something, and there was all of a sudden a book on a table, and then all of a sudden the book was there, mist shows up, and the book's gone. The mist. I love that, because dude, the cheapest form of animation is imagination. You get that mist, shit can go down with sound, and you don't have to animate it, but it's awesome because it's in their head. But I really like the mist, and I love the idea of interwoven storylines playing out in real time. So I think taking some elements and baking them into your thing, and let's make a sizzle reel. And I want you to think about it. You don't have to think about it now, but like, let's make an execution date. So we'd like to show it to everybody, and maybe we can work on it through the summer, and maybe like, you know what, we're going to put it out in fall, or we're going to put it out for Halloween, something like that. Start thinking like that, so it makes you accountable. And when this airs, we may get some support. You don't know who's watching. I want to tell you a little story about one time I produced a movie called Moon Point, and I was doing a lot of contests, and we were putting out stuff for musicians to send us your songs to maybe get on our movie as the soundtrack, right? And this is 2009 or 10. So social media and YouTube has been out for like about 3 years, and everyone's getting on this like, hey, I could be my own thing. I could bet, and people are crowdsourcing and doing stuff. And so I put out a thing, and Total Drama was like probably at its peak, you know what I mean, or getting before its peak. And I put out a video saying, hey, I'm producing a film and we're looking for artists. There was one young man who's like, hey, dad, you know that guy I like that does Total Drama, da da da. He's from Canada and he's making a movie. I got a letter saying that they would like to this film festival, just a little film festival called Sundance. I got
Never
a
heard
job.
of it.
Yeah, he wanted to see it because the kid said, hey, dad, that guy, he's producing a movie.
Right.
He watched my card. He watched my thing. I got a letter from Sundance to see if they, they wanted to see it. And also, I also got an animation job for Walmart back at the beginning when they had movies on DVDs that you bought from Walmart. I did animation for the Walmart electronics department where I was playing a character. The only reason I got it was because the kid told the president of Walmart at the time, he's like, you hire this guy. If you're going to do cartoons, hire this guy. And the guy showed up to the recording. He goes, you got hired because my kid said, if I didn't hire you for this, that he'd be mad at me. So he's like so I gave him some autographs. So you never know who's watching. Okay, Felicia. Right.
Yeah.
And this is why I want to open up this channel, for that. So I think this is a fantastic idea. I'd like to work on it more with you and create a sizzle reel or maybe a pilot episode. We'll see where it goes, but let's get it going on.
I think a cool idea would be if we make like a website or like a Instagram page or a Tumblr to show the work progress of like what we're going to do, and see if like if we get traction for it, and the more traction we get, the more we're able to like do it,
Yes,
absolutely. Yes, that'd be a great idea.
And that's on you. That's on you. And you've got the support of us, and anything we can do to make it happen. I'm already signing up because I would like to voice something.
Of course. Yep.
Right. Like I'm gonna like, as they say, I'm gonna voice something, but as well as produce, but like, my connections and even my own studio to create the effects, but also, if we're using my studio, we can apply for grants in the Southern Ontario tax credits, and also I am working with some animation companies right now that, also are looking for content. Yeah. We can be pitching these to them and they may take it and go, great, we're going to take this on. And it's maybe 2D, 2D animation, but we're thinking of it's going to go to Netflix or it's going to go to Amazon or it's going to go to Cartoon Network because these are the people that do that. So I'm going to get it ready for their standards and also see if they want to help out because this is an incubator. Right. And this is a great idea. I just know that, it does take a lot of work, but it's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Fun. And you've got a lot going on with like, there's some history. Like this is back in college. How long ago?
3 years, I think. 2 or 3.
So it's still kind of current.
Yeah.
It's still current. It wasn't like, yeah, exactly. This is great.
I've always pictured this for you though, Felicia. I mean, like I've known you for years and I've always known that this was your calling, and whatever we can do to make this a reality for you, we're here for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see this happen. And then let's put this out there and let's make some friends. I like the idea. If you want to, like later on, we'll set up that Insta page or a Facebook page or whatever you got, and then create that watering hole and we'll keep them updated. You know what I mean? And then we'll hop back on this thing and blah, blah, blah. And we'll just, either or it will get them all going on. I really like this. And I want to help you with the, we'll get a working title, and I'd love to see some illustrations and then pass them on to my peeps and get feedback.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's one thing. It'd be like, as we're going, I'll be like, hey, I'll show them to, and maybe I'll film me talking to them. And you know what I mean? And then as it's going on, and then maybe if they decide to join on, you never know how it goes. Trust me, man.
I find lately it's been very, like indie animation and cartoons have been
Yeah.
very popular lately and like have been getting a lot
Huge.
of traction. Like
Yeah.
even there's this one that just came out on Prime that I've known about since like 5 years
What's it
ago
called?
when they
What's it called?
started. Has Been Hotel. It's
I don't know about that. Has
I'm
yeah,
actually
been
gonna
it
mark this
was
down.
hotel.
by this one girl who used to just do YouTube animations of her like just her own little characters,
Yeah.
but she got so much traction from posting it so much that eventually she was able to make her own animation studio and got picked up on Prime Video for to
Ooh.
make her cartoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, there's so many avenues you can go now. Like you can even just get it going up on YouTube because YouTube is looking for original content.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And using their format, it's just like there's so many options where there's no more gatekeepers and elitistness and white ivory towers about it all.
Right.
And that's because of COVID. It just knocked everything out. The white ivory tower went into the gutter and the sewer came up a bit, and it's just like, yeah, here we
The rat
go.
people are on the loose.
Flipperoo. Yeah, but man, was it ever needed and refreshing. There's so much great stuff out there. I
Mhm.
get excited to just punch in something and just go down rabbit
Me too.
holes of stuff. And I'm just like,
Yeah, there's so many like student animations on YouTube that I just
oh,
watch all the time.
and I lend my voice to a lot of those things. I back at Sheridan and Seneca, I lend my voice to some, and I get people who are starting out with voice acting to lend their voice because industry night where all the big players come and pick and poach and take all you because you were just trained by all these animators from Cartoon
Yeah.
Network, Pixar, this and that, and then they come and grab you, whether it's backgrounds, whether it's 2D, CGI, blah blah blah. I would lend my voice to that and show these animators, young animators, how to voice direct and run a session for their little student projects. And it's just like they got there really fast and it opened it up. And that's why I love working with students. I was like, your idea is really basic and that's why it works. But you got steak, but where's the sizzle? It's like, where's the MSG to this? And also if you knew the format, you know what I mean? It's like, play the game, guys. And this is great because you have a background, from school, but you also have the idea. It's well thought out. I would like to hear more and help you format that. And but first and foremost, I want to thank you for being our first guest.
Yes, thank you very much, Felicia. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And-
I was
and-
I was like super excited that this is actually like a thing that's happening. I think it's a really cool idea.
Thank you. I think so too, and we're working with the best in the business too. So they're
Not
really
even flexing.
Seth. I'm talking to you. You're in the background. Sorry. I love you. I love you, man.
How does it feel to be pitching it to Seth MacFarlane? That is,
an honor.
Well, tell me, Brian.
Yeah, I really do want to thank you for being our first out and very short notice, and you hopped to and just hopped on, and as this is our first episode, so this is something that we just put out there that we're just doing, and it's going to grow with everybody too. And we started strong, Frankie. We started strong, and thank you for bringing on Felicia, because I remember saying to Frankie just the other day, I was like, I want to work with graphic novel. I was like, I've been trying to find a person that does graphic novels so that I can get some of my ideas, and I just storyboard some stuff because, or if they had a graphic novel, I was like, one that's already there, or a comic book. I was like, can I make soundscapes? Can we do that? And it never happened. And then,
lo and behold,
Felicia. Yeah, no. And you've got a lot there. So yeah, honestly, I want to thank you for sharing your stuff. A lot of people hide in their stuff and they're very precious with it, and in this day and age you can't be anyway. Show me original thought, I'll give you the $1 million in my pocket. Both of those things don't exist.
Yep. I agree. Like it's like a write what you know. Even though you're thinking like, oh yeah, this is so unique, you're grabbing things from the back of your head that you've seen before, really.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's a great way to put it.
and you just Greek it and tilt it and smear it and pull the
Yeah.
taffy until, it looks like the way you want to. It's still, everything's made of the same ingredients, but you really have to focus in on your character development. You've got to have a hero, a villain, a sidekick, and a mentor. And a hero is not somebody that can shoot lasers out of their eyes, fly with a cape and teleport and throw buses. No, a hero just wants to save the day
and be good.
and be good.
And
they just want to save the day.
be good.
And a villain isn't a bad person. They're just a product of their environment. They were there first, and somebody probably came by like a hero and said, "Hey, that's not right." And the villain's like, "Let me tell you something." And they just have something to prove. But you can be a good villain. It's like, "I'm going to show you, Dad, that I'm going to be the best." Da, da, da. You still got a villain just have something to prove. And a sidekick is not some worker bee servant that'll do what you say. They just want to help. And a mentor isn't a life coach, swami, guru, highly educated professor. No, they just want to teach. And then there's the wild card, which is just like it's all parts, and it's in the middle.
The Franky character.
The Franky character.
I appreciate it. I got lots of ideas now.
Well, let's wrap it up. Franky, any closing words for Felicia, for our friends at home? Anything you want to sign off with?
No, goodbye. No kidding. No,
wrap.
No, Felicia, I like even you telling me all your ideas. It's even got me going like, God, we could do this. I'm already thinking so many things, and that's good. This is literally like we literally put the think in think tank. Like I have so many ideas now, and I'm so excited to see in 4 to 6 weeks or however long it is before you come on again. I'm super excited to see where it is next, because like, because just think about it. This is where we started, and then once we see where it ends up, it's just going to be crazy that we can look back on this and just think just how far, because who knows, we might even in 4 to 6 weeks, you might say, hey, I don't have, it's not two siblings, it's just two best friends. You just don't know where it's going to go. And that's really the best part about workshopping and collaboration, is just you don't know where it's going to go, but it all works. It really all works. And I'm super excited for you, and I just can't wait to see how this goes for you. I'm very, very, very excited.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
We're going to close out with your slate. What you're going to do is you're going to slate, and you're going to go, "Hello, my name is," and then you're going to say, "I'd like to give some advice to anyone just starting out or has an idea." And then you just give advice. What, if you to somebody who's might want to join us here or pitch their ideas anywhere, or just create something from nothing, just like you have, I want you to give advice, and then I want you to tail slate when we're done. And that's how we wrap.
Okay.
All right. And we are rolling.
My name is Felicia, and advice for anybody who's just starting or wants to do something with an idea they have: don't keep it as an idea. Make something out of it. Tell people about it. Just don't ever keep it to yourself. Even if it's not ready to be told yet, still tell somebody about it, because then they might have feedback, tell you, "Oh, have you ever thought of this? Oh, I didn't. Maybe I could put that down." And just keep workshopping it, and don't be afraid to show the dirty work of it. Always show how it's made, and then eventually people will be like, "Yeah, that's really cool that I'm seeing how this is made, and I can be with you there at the end result." And just keep that in mind if you want to do something.
And who are you?
I'm Felicia.
And then that's the best tail slate I've ever seen. The awkward thumbs up going, "I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do with my hands." I don't know what to do with my hands. That's awesome. Felicia, you know what? From the moment I heard your voice, I was like, why is this person not voicing her stuff? So let's
I've thought about voice acting, but I haven't really looked to figure out how to do that. But I mean, if you have anything available, I might be open to it.
yeah, I'm thinking about this show called Empire of the Sun. There's
Pretty
this,
cool, yeah.
yeah,
Was that by Stephen King?
yeah, it's
Or
Steven
Steven
Spielberg.
Spielberg.
It's by Seth MacFarlane.
He's coming
Seth
in.
Spielberg.
Ted's in it. Ted's in it,
Oh
and
my
he's
God,
just
yeah.
walking around.
You
The
know
two
what, guys?
siblings are called Chris and Meg Griffin.
Well, you know what? This has been absolutely fantastic. I am really excited to see things going, and we're going to see you back in about 4 to 6 weeks. Okay.
Of course.
But
Oh,
we're gonna set all that stuff up, and when we come back, we're gonna have places for people to go, and if they want to help us out, and collaborate, that is wonderful. All right, thanks, Felicia, and thank you at home, wherever you are, what you're doing. And I just want to leave you with this, guys. It's not bragging if you're actually doing it. Good night, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.